My sermon this morning is called, Lord, See Us Through This Time of Trouble. And I'm going to be talking from the Lord's Prayer. I'm really interested in the line that says, lead us not into temptation, or lead us not into trial. But I want to say a few words about the earlier parts of the prayer. Okay? I'm just going to drag up the stool, eh? And if you're listening from the United States, you know this is Canadian. Just drag up a stool, eh? Right? And I want to say some words about the prayer generally, and I want to go through it kind of by its parts. So this is a community prayer. And so we'll go to the first slide here. Jesus says to his disciples, this is the way you can pray. Our Father in heaven. So this is not a personal prayer, an individual prayer. It's a prayer of the community. And Matthew is expressing the prayer for his community, his church, who are praying this prayer. Now, who is the you in the prayer? You pray this way, Jesus says. Our. Who's the our? Now, the prayer is set in the Sermon on the Mount. Maybe it's one of the best known of 2 or 3 chapters of Jesus' teaching. It's kind of a compendium of Jesus' teaching. You remember at the beginning of chapter 5, Jesus goes up on a hillside and he sits down, which is the posture of a teacher, right? So that's why I'm sitting down. It's the posture of a teacher. Teacher sits, the students stand. Or maybe after a while they get tired and they sit down too. I don't know. But you remember one time the crowds were pushing him against the water of the Sea of Galilee, so he got in a boat. And what does it say? He sat down and he taught them. So Jesus adopts the posture of a teacher and he's teaching them, just the people, just the common people from the villages around about. And it begins, remember, blessed are the poor in spirit, blessed are the meek, blessed are those who mourn, blessed are the peacemakers. And those ideally that's us, his disciples. And as the sermon, the collection of Jesus' teaching goes on, there's quite a bit before he teaches on the prayer about retaining your humility. Don't be pretentious, he says, like certain other people. Then he teaches in the prayer. And I think it's those people who are humble in spirit, who are meek, who can be sad over themselves, their life, the state of the world, and so on. People know some sadness. This is a prayer for them. Yeah. So our Father. Now, we're accustomed to that, aren't we? Our Father. And in Jesus' day, Jews prayed prayers as a community, our Father, but as an individual addressing God as Father. This was apparently new. Now, Father, Mother, these are our family relationships, aren't they? And all we have is human language to talk about God. And so one of the most important words that's used of God in the Bible, God is a king and so on. I'm going to mention that in a moment. But he's a father. He's like a father, a good father. Our Father who is in heaven. Now, that's someplace else, isn't it? Usually we think of heaven as up there, because the same word that means heaven means sky. So we think of God being above us, and certainly God is transcendent, beyond us in a sense. But when we say our Father in heaven, we recognize that there is kind of another world. There is another dimension to reality that we can't see. And it's that spiritual world where God lives. And God gives us His Spirit from that world as Christian people. So He is in this spiritual world which impinges on our own and which comes into our own. Our Father who is in heaven, above. Now, it's a prayer for the community, and it continues, our Father who is in heaven, hallowed be thy name, sanctified, reverenced, kept holy. Now, I want to tell you a little story. I've got the bird nest sitting on the stool over there, And when I came into the sanctuary, when I thought of where you would put that, I would never set that on the communion table. Would you? I wouldn't do that. It reminded me when my daughter graduated, our daughter graduated from the University of Toronto, there was a reception in a kind of a music room at Victoria University. Well, it would be a reception hall. And there was a beautiful baby grand piano at the front of this big room. And we were fed, like sandwiches, coffee, all that kind of stuff. And I noticed some people, they had their, little plate of stuff, goodies, coffee, and so on. And when they were finished, they walked over, they set it on the piano. I thought, boy. I found it offensive, right? Because you don't do that to a baby grand piano in a concert hall. It's just not appropriate. There's something about that piano, isn't there? There's something dignified. There's something that deserves our respect for all that it represents. And so that's what holiness is like. Something that's sacred. Something's to be respected, held in honor, to be in awe of. And that's what it means when Jesus says, hallowed, holy be your name. Now the name, our name is our identity, isn't it? So he's really saying, may you be held holy. And these are imperative verbs. Your name be held holy. And then it continues. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And these are probably to be read this way. I have to find the right place here. May your name be held holy. May your kingdom come. May your will be done. So, may your name be held holy on earth as it is in heaven. May your kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. And may your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. See, all of these. What exists where God is, may that come into our human experience. Now, from the time I was a child, which is quite a long time ago, I wondered, what is the kingdom of heaven? It's the kingdom of God, of course, but I have trouble with the word kingdom. Now, I mentioned God is Father, but God is King in the Bible. And in the ancient Near East from which the Bible comes, the king was the wisest, the smartest, the most powerful, the most privileged, all kinds of things. And so in the Bible, God is often called a king, a ruler. And rulers have domains. And so God's domain, his realm, is the kingdom. Now, a long time ago, there are a lot of long time agos here, aren't there? So I was a graduate student. I was trying to learn German. And one of the ways you can learn a language is to get a Bible in that language. Some of you read Good News for Modern Man, the TEV, Today's English Version. That's a version of the Bible I like for reading. So there is a German one like it. And in that translation, wherever the word kingdom appears, it says, God's glorious future. It's like all the lights came on, because that's really what God's kingdom is. God's glorious future coming into our human experience. And so the prayer says, may your kingdom come and be real amongst us. May your will, as it exists where you are, may it come and be part of our experience too. So God's glorious future. And that was the slide of the light. Yeah. Do I have a light? Did I talk? Oh, great. Oh, wow. I like these slides. God's glorious future dawning. And that's why we did the Beatles song, right? Here Comes the Sun. And then, of course, we've had 6 days of sunshine, and this morning it's cloud over. The Lord has a sense of humor. So may what is with you come here. Now then, give us this day our daily bread. Do you remember, can you think of where that might be from? Well, it's from the wilderness experience, way back early in the Bible where God's people were wandering through the wilderness, and God fed them a day at a time. So may we have our food Yes, this is the next slide. Thanks, Aaron. May we have the food we need for today. And really, that's all we have is today, don't we? May you take care of us today. It's such a good reminder. And so after this introduction, the address, and the kingdom, and then eats. Food is so important, isn't it? Some of you are having coffee and cookies or cake right now. And that's really important. Need to eat. If we don't eat, nothing happens. And what follows after this is forgive us of our sins. And yes, this is the emerge room. This is the hospital. Now, Kim picked these out. She did such a great job. Mind reader. Forgiveness heals. Forgive us our wrongs. You might have the word debts in your translation. Forgive us what we owe you because we have wronged you. Even as we forgive those who owe us a debt because they've wronged us. Now, if you look in Luke chapter 11, there's a shorter version of this prayer, and Luke says, forgive us of our sins. So it is sins or transgressions. But this word debts was sometimes used in the same way. So forgive us of our wrongs, just as we forgive others. How can we expect God to forgive us if we can't forgive anybody else? And the thing about forgiveness is that it's healing. We are healed in the act of forgiving others. Because if we can't forgive, we're going to be sick ourselves. We're going to be not well. And so if we can forgive, we'll have a greater sense of wellness. Okay, forgive us our trespasses. We're coming to the line that I'm really interested. Lead us not into temptation. Yeah. Times of trial. And I think this is the next slide. Times of trial. Lead us not into times of trial. I can hear the people out there. I can hear all the women just winced. All the women just winced. Times of trial. I never had any babies, but I was there. And yes. And time of trial and birth, this is an important image in the Bible for things giving way to something better. And as the Bible unfolded, in the Old Testament we have in the prophets we have God's judgment, and then we have restoration. And so by the time of Jesus, it was understood that God's kingdom was breaking in Jesus' ministry. Jesus says, if by the power of God I cast out demons, then the kingdom of God has come upon you. It is broken, morning is broken. It was understood that God's glorious future would not come without trials, a time of trial. And so it's very likely at the end of the prayer, we're praying, Lord, save us from that time of trial, that time of difficulty. May we not have to go through that. It's said in such a striking way, like it could be just, Jesus could have said, keep us safe. No, Lord, keep us safe. But it's said in such a way that is really striking and it sticks in our mind. Now, I said, keep us from the time of trial. Your translation may say temptation. And the thing is that this word is like a two-sided coin. It means both trial and temptation, both in Greek and in Hebrew. The same word means the two things. And so some translations choose the one and some choose the other. Now, a bit earlier, Jesus is taken out into the wilderness by the Spirit to be tried or tempted. Which one is it? Now, I just looked. I think the NRSV says tempted. But I was looking at if you have the today's New International Version, you'll have a footnote. It's either trial in the text and tempt in the footnote or vice versa. That is, it gives you the option. I kind of like the time of trial, a time of trial. And deliver us from evil or the evil one. It could be either one. I'm inclined to think it is save us from evil, because the prayer is general, isn't it? There's the kingdom, which is a general word. There's bread, it's a general word. There's wrongdoing, which is general. I'm inclined to think it's deliver us from evil, which is just badness, all the bad things that can happen. But go back to trial. You know what? I think that we're living through a time of trial for us all. The thing is, most of us don't have to look for trouble, because trouble usually finds us at some point along the way. Isn't that true in your experience? That sometimes trouble has found you. You had that sense that trouble was looking for you, and then it found you. So evil is badness. Save us from trial, difficulty, and it really means see us through. It means help us through. It means may we not see serious trial, because there's trial and then there's trial, isn't there? That's what it's about. Now, what kinds of trials are you facing these days? Okay? What kinds of trials are you facing? Well, I just jotted down a few for those of you who have the sermon notes. So just let me touch on these. I don't know about you, but a lot of people are weary these days. We're tired. And Matthew was talking about this a few weeks ago, I think, about taking care of our souls. And a lot of people are tired. We're weary. We're living in a time of emergency. But how long can you live with an emergency? That's the issue, isn't it? That's why we're tired. I can live with an emergency for like an hour, maybe half a day, maybe a week, but the emergency has continued on, and we're tired and we're worn down. Yeah? Before I came, I got a call from Elaine. That's my wife, as you know. As Jen said, she works in the ICU at the hospital. And she just went in for a short shift, but she's staying for a long one because they were short like 5 nurses, several nurses. Since it's a video, I just should say several. Short, because people are tired. Our nursing people are tired. And in long-term care at Grove Park Home, people are tired, and they're worn down. Really, really are. Our healthcare people are worn down. We're tired. We're all tired. And this is a trial for us. And the trial is for us to endure. We need to endure. There will be an end to this. And we need to sum up our powers of endurance. You know, something that helps me? We've been, it's 5 months, isn't it? But something that helps me is to think from this day, not to think that I've been in this 5 months, but to think from today. And to just set all that aside. Set it aside and just begin from today. And then a day at a time. Give us this day. One of my friends at Grove Park Home, she was quite elderly. She was elderly. She turned 100. And we had this ongoing joke, shall we say, because at one point she was watching a lot of CNN. And people who have a lot of time on their hands, you can watch news all day long. That will make you sick. And so we had a conversation about this, that one of the things she needed to do was watch this stuff less. And so we had this 1 day at a time, 1 week at a time, 1 month at a time. In fact, we had 1 hour at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 day at a time. But it's true. Just to set aside what's been, and this is the beginning. So we're weary, we're tired, and we face also an emotional challenge because we feel isolated. There's some people that I hug. When I was little, people didn't do as much hugging then. But I really miss that human contact. Shake of the hand, hand on the shoulder. Just that touch. Just that touch. Now, I would say all touch is therapeutic, yeah. An uncle in Windsor is a doctor, and he told me that he would always touch a patient before he left them. Because the way we feel about doctors, if the doctor touches us, there's something in that. Touch is therapeutic, and so we're really, really missing that. So the people who are closest and closest and closest to you, who are under the bubble, this touch, it's so important. Now, unfortunately, I saw in a cartoon where, it's a Space Jam, where the arm goes way, way out, they're playing basketball, and it stretches way, way out. Wouldn't that be great if you could do that? I could just reach out and touch Jen. Just touch her from here. And we'd be socially distant, but we'd be able to touch each other. Maybe we could meet in the middle, like 3 meters from either one. Just stretch out your hand. Wouldn't that be wonderful? But the touch. Now, some of you have pets, like dogs and cats and things like that, and that's really, really helpful. Now, kids, if you're still listening to this, don't ask your parents right after my talk if you can get a cat or a dog. But some of you have them already, and if you don't have them, then your neighbors do, or your grandma has one or something like this. But that's really important, the touch. Psychologically, we're facing a trial. This is called mental health. It really bothers me when somebody says, well, he's got some mental health issues, or she's got some mental health issues. I mean, we all have mental health issues. We all have to keep ourselves healthy mentally. Every one of us. Some of us, from time to time, need more care or need specialized care in that regard. But every human being who walks the face of the earth faces psychological well-being and how they're going to have that. And we've become increasingly aware. One of the things that's going to come out of this time is that we're increasingly aware how important our mental health is. Because many of us who have been very healthy all our lives, we never thought 2 things. We never 2 minutes about our mental health. It was just there, Another trial is school. Parents of small children, you're all going to merit a medal in a few months because you have faced such difficulties. And it changes from day to day, doesn't it? There are so many worries and concerns around the issue of school, which is so important for kids. It's so important, socialization, learning, and all these kinds of things. But all of the anxiety around that, we just have to sort of put that there and sort of step out of the circle for a while and just bear with it. There's no easy way here. But awareness is a help, isn't it? Because it really is a trying time in that respect for families and the issue of school. Another trial is financial loss. Shops closing, businesses closing down, even major corporations going under. Who would have thought that the cruise line industry would suffer such losses, since last year, or the airline industries, travel industries, and so on. So I know some of you are very concerned about your financial well-being, and that's a really, really great worry. And you may need people to talk to, financial advisors and so on, who can help you in some way, because this is a real, real big one for us. And finally, this is in another category, but there is the frustration of inconvenience. Are you tired of when you go out someplace, you're thinking about all the hoops you're going to have to jump through before you get to what you want? Now, we took our conveniences for granted. Not so much anymore. There are all the many, many inconveniences of our time, and those kind of wear us down, one at a time. Save us from this time of trouble. We are in this time of in-between. I think this is the next slide. And you can easily, there we are. Is he going, or she, going up or down? I'm going to assume that she's going up, but we're not there yet. But look how far we've come. We're not there yet, but we've come a long ways. And then finally, to maintain our sense of hope, and this is our final slide, take hope. Oh, I love this picture. Take hope, After all that trial and anxiety and worry and 9 months and discomfort and so on, take hope, because there are good things for us, you know. And if we can trust in God, who will see us through, as he saw our ancestors through, from Abraham, from Moses, Sarah, Deborah, all of those people down to our own time, God will see us through. So, Lord, Lord, will you see us through this time of trouble?